Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, let's go through the plan, mindset, plan, and the process because I think all three are very important. Having the right mindset is super important before you start making that sort of money. And what do I mean by that? You see, if you're currently in a position where you're making £2,500, £3,000 and your aim, your goal is to make another £500 or £1,000, then obviously it's going to be quite difficult to make £10,000 a month. You're not in the right mind frame. And so having the right goals, having the right targets, telling yourself that actually I want to make £10,000 a month is the most important part to the first part of the process. And then understanding what you're doing with your life. Because a lot of us are working jobs, 8 o'clock, 6 o'clock coming home, weekends we're resting, and therefore we're not spending that much time in productivity. And I think it's very important to take some time away from working life, family. Obviously, do what you have to do with your family. I'm not saying don't talk to them, but as in take a step back. And actually, Ramadan might be the perfect time for you guys to reflect on your life, see what you want to do in the future, take some time away, and just think about how you can go about your future plans. Taking time away and thinking is actually very helpful in getting your mind thinking straight. So let's say you take some time out. Well, how much time should you take out? If I was you, I would spend Ramadan taking time out, reflecting, increasing your iman and making dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. Let's start with that. We'll move on to how and what, and don't worry, bear with me. But spend your time away, spend time with your family where you have to think, spend time, away from work, job, etc., etc. Make sure during those times you're reflecting. At least an hour a day should just be spent by yourself where you're thinking about ideas, thinking about what you want to do in the future, thinking about how you're going to about reaching the target. If that's 10,000 or 20, whatever that is, thinking. Because, the crazy thing is, most of us don't actually think. And that might sound crazy, but honestly speaking, if you're waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning and coming home at 6 o'clock in the evening, resting for half an hour and then eating your food and maybe spending some time with your family, well, when do you get time to think? And that's something that I realized when I started my own recruitment company, that actually the biggest blessing when I started my own recruitment company was the fact that I was able to sit down and think. Whether I went to Dhuhr Salah and after Dhuhr I just sat down for 10-15 minutes and thought, and after Asr I just reflected. Think about your blessings. Think about what you want to do in your life. These things are very important. And if you are going to reflect for 1 hour, then maybe after Salah might be a good time. You pray your prayer, 5-10 minutes, you read your Quran. After 5-10 minutes, you just have a little think. Actually, I promote these ways because I do think it expands your mind. But let's say now you spend 30 days, you're reflecting, you're thinking, you're spending time alone. You need to be spending some time exercising as well. You need to spend some time eating good food, getting the right sleep. These things are important. And I know in Ramadan it might be difficult because obviously, we want to be staying up in the night. But make sure you're resting up well. Make sure you're improving on your sleep and your exercise, and therefore you have more energy. Having energy sometimes is something that actually we lack in later on in our life. Like, I'm 30 years old now and I definitely have less energy than what I used to at 25. Understanding that, accepting that is very crucial to figuring out how you can maintain a lifestyle through health and through exercise and through eating better. Something I actually am trying to improve on, and 100% I would say you have to improve on. We will get into how you can go about making the £10,000 a month, but these things are important because when you have your fundamentals incorrectly, you can grow on that. You can expand on that, you can build on that. If your fundamentals are, shaky as such, then it's very difficult to build a building on that. See, I mentioned these things, but the next steps are a direct relation to these. And what I mean by that is a lot of people leave their businesses, give up, and that sort of thing 3-6 months in. 3 to 6 months in, a lot of people will stop. They fail, they feel like, it didn't work, whatever it is. But actually, the reality is they just needed to be more consistent. Consistency, it's the key in starting something, developing it, and maintaining an element of wealth which you can continue on. So this is why I talk to you about having the right procedures in place. This is why I talk to you about taking time out, improving your mindset, thinking straight, exercising, eating healthy, because actually all these things will go on to help you be more consistent. They will go on to help you think straight. They will go on to just get your mind in order for you to, in essence, go to battle. And that is exactly what now we're going to talk about. Because how can you go about making the £10,000 a month? One, get your mind right, get your targets right, and then the processes. Look, the reality is most of us have different ideas, different ways of making money, and different skills. And so you need to understand where your skills are. Though, I will tell you this, if this was me and I was starting again, no doubt I would have social media at the front of the battle. And what I mean by that is, the reality is people buy what they see. If they see something, they buy it. I could have the best product in the world, but if no one sees it, no one buys it. And today, where's everyone looking? On social media. The fact that most people today are watching YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and so on and so forth, compared to TVs, let's be honest, people don't watch TV the way they used to, 10 years ago. And so we have to understand that if you are looking to sell a product, a service, whatever it is actually, social media has to be at the front of that. Whether that's your own personal brand, whether that's your business, you need to be making sure that you have a brand with a following, eyes are watching it, and sometimes it's also understanding how numbers can add up. So to give you an idea, if today you have a product which is giving you a profit of £25, and let's say you sell that product 500 times, you have your £10,000 a month. Now I know it's easier said than done, and I'm not saying it's just as easy as that. I am saying though, when you break the numbers down, it becomes a lot more possible. If you, for example, are making £500 for something, whatever that product or service is, and you do it 20 times, you have your £10,000 a month. So breaking down numbers in whatever your product or whatever your service is crucial. Today, let's say you're selling a t-shirt, which has a profit margin of £20 or £25 because, well, it'll make the maths easier. Then you need to sell 400 of those t-shirts. And so doing the maths helps so much. And you might have a product or a service which is high in revenue. For example, in a recruitment company, if you're charging £3,000 or £4,000 as a fee, you need to do 2 or 3 and you will have your £10,000 a month. Do the maths and do the numbers. And if you're still stuck with a business idea, then remember when we talked about Ramadan and those 30 days, the time when you're thinking and reflecting, come up with business ideas. Write them down. If you are not spending some time reflecting and thinking of business ideas, if you don't have any, then well, how long are you spending thinking of them? A lot of people say to me, I don't have a business idea. And I ask them the question, do you think about business ideas? Do you think of coming up with one? Do you sit down behind a computer with your notepad, whatever it is, and say half an hour a day, I'm going to try come up with an idea? Because if you did that, I am fairly confident you would come up with a very good business idea 1 or 2 months in. Then it comes down again to the fact that you need to get your mindset together. You need to make sure you're thinking straight. Do the numbers. Once you do the numbers, it becomes realistic. When it becomes realistic, you know how much money you need to spend in promotions, in advertising, in whatever it is to get the sales. When you get the sales, you know how much it's costing you to get £10,000. You know how much you need to sell. And then again, you're able to see clearly. So my brothers and sisters, if you're looking to make £10,000 a month, a massive part of it comes down to mindset. A massive part of it comes down to thinking straight, and then do the numbers. Whatever your product or service is, and if you haven't come up with a product or a service, then spend time thinking of one. Barakallahu feek. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.